The banks got away with it. Bonuses are still high. The new banking levy agreed by the government is considerably lower than they feared, and the effects are reduced by a decrease in corporation tax anyway. So are they laughing all the way to the bank? Here's Adam Fleming.
One man with a good overview of City Pay says that some bankers feel they've got away with a bit of a hustle. He's advised banks in the past on how to reward their staff.
The banks want to give the clear impression to the public that actually they're trying to moderate their behaviour. They'll be altering pay structures so that the bonus element is reduced, even though actually in many places the total remuneration could well go up.
The leaders of the G20 agreed a few weekends ago that big bonuses were to blame for some of the capers that caused the crisis. They couldn't agree what to do about them. Britain has already brought in new rules about bonuses, and the EU announced similar plans this week, which will also apply to hedge funds. In the budget, this gang also tried to change banks' behaviour by introducing a promised levy on their liabilities in the UK. That will eventually raise about £2.5 billion a year, but banks will benefit from the cut in corporation tax. And there's no guarantee that it'll be the bankers who pay.
Any tax is ultimately going to be felt by real people. In the case of banking taxes, that means either the bank's shareholders via lower profits, the bank's employees via lower wages and bonuses, or the bank's customers via higher charges and higher interest rates on loans, lower interest rates on savings accounts.
It's a sweet little idea, taxing the banks to help the poor, but I don't think it'll work. It's very complicated and would be very tough on the banking sector.
The charities behind this advert want to hammer the banks even harder. They're campaigning for a so-called Robin Hood tax on all transactions. A recent report from the International Monetary Fund found some problems with it, but did endorse the idea of a further levy on financial activities.
The IMF, who are not exactly famous for being left-wing or radical, are saying that the banks are seriously undertaxed. They're recommending a big tax on profits and bonuses. So we would totally agree with that. We think the banks in Britain could pay up to £20 billion more in tax each year.
George Osborne says he's looking into a financial activities tax, but that's not all. He's also established a commission to examine pretty much everything about how this place is run.
Angela Knight of the Bankers Association is still with me. I guess I should begin by congratulating you. I mean, thanks to the work that you've done and other lobbyists and the inaction of the government, you members who almost broke the world's financial system, you've got off scot-free, haven't you?
Well, no, no and no. The majority of our members, of course, actually managed the crisis very well. A few got into difficulty.
They caused it.
No, I think you can't say because some people did the wrong things and because some banks did the wrong things, therefore everybody was wrong and every bank is wrong. So first of all, can I say, I understand your question, but I just want to say it ought to be carefully targeted. Secondly, as regards what tax we are going to pay, in addition to the very significant corporation tax which the banking industry quite rightly pays, at the moment we do not have sight of the detail of the proposed levy. So whereas we are well aware that people are making estimates all over the place, until you know what it is that they're proposing to do, you can't actually come up with an estimate. We've just got the phraseology from the actual budget speech. I'm not ducking your question,
a lot of
but
you
there is
banks
a point.
and members won't be paying corporation tax, of course, because they've racked up huge losses, and they'll carry these losses forward against their corporation tax.
The majority of our members haven't. The majority of our members have not.
But a lot of them will, and they'll be tax-free.
A few.
If you were getting your house in order, at a time of financial difficulty, why have bonuses risen from 6 billion to 6.8 billion?
The issue of bonuses is, I entirely accept, a very difficult one, and one on which...
Why should they be rising at a time when people are getting no pay rises, losing their jobs, taking pay cuts? Why should bankers get a rise in their bonuses?
And it's a difficult question. It's one on which there's a lot of concentration. I don't quite know why you always say your members, because, of course, I don't think you're aware of exactly who our members are. But
you're here to speak for the banking industry.
The industry operates internationally. there is a section of that industry that therefore operates on international standards, whether it is on regulation or whether it is on pay. And the international standards were addressed by the G20 about 18 months ago.
Nobody cares about the G20,
Well,
but I just want to know why your members are getting a lot more money when everybody else is struggling to make ends meet.
If you let me finish answering the question, then you'll get the answer.
All right.
The reason why you have to care about the G20 is this, is because that includes all the major countries of the world with financial sectors.
No, I know what the G20 is.
And therefore, the decisions that they made on pay were important.
All right.
And so
I'm afraid we're going to have to end it there.
We put them into law in the UK.
No, I understand.
And our members
we have to
paid
end.
the tax on the bonus.
Just time before we
last year.
go to find out the answer to our quiz. The question was, how much will George Osborne's bank levy raise this year? Sandra, what's the correct answer?
When we see the detail, we'll give you the answer. Our members will pay
No, the answer
tax
the answer
on the
is
bonus.
zero. It doesn't come in until next year.
No, it doesn't. It comes in on January the 1st, which applies to this
the
current
answer
fiscal
is
year.
Zero for this financial year. That's the answer. Thank you very much to all our guests. Special thanks to Angela for being our guest of the day. She's still talking. Probably will be for the rest of the day. We'll be back at 11:30 tomorrow with all the big political stories.
And as well as bringing you Prime Minister's Questions live, we'll be talking about the NHS with businessman Sir Jerry Robinson. Do join us then. Bye-bye.